that experiment. That's not what happened at all, but okay. But we should be learning how to make more food. All right? Now, the problem with this is the air fryer changed the game, dude. Like, it did. If you put olive oil, salt, and pepper on a chicken breast and put it in the air fryer for 20 minutes, it's delicious good, like really good. And so, like, that kind of changed the game. Knowing how to make your own spaghetti sauce isn't terrible. Like, it's literally tomatoes and spices. It's not that difficult. Is it easier to buy a can off the shelf? Of course. Are there great canned sauce options? Yes, absolutely there are. Probably wouldn't be a terrible idea to know how to make it. A steak is a little bit easier, right? Just, it's kind of like a couple of minutes each side, hot pan, normally cast iron if you can. If you're going to cook inside, obviously the grill would be a different thing. I don't think it's necessarily terrible advice to be telling people how to learn how to make a couple of recipes. It's food. It's how you stay alive. Understanding it better is only going to be beneficial to you. Also, men who feel like, I don't like when a woman tries to like take control and try to change me and try to do all that stuff. You realize, dude, if you take that out of her bag, she's not going to have that to lean on, right? So maybe learn to do that. So if you're sick of hearing about how she does everything for you, maybe do some things. Maybe learn. Now, I feel like men and women these days kind of have to learn this all over again. We're not learning at the sides of our elders as much as we were in the generations before us. They also say here, by the time you're 40, you should learn some basic survival. This is probably good advice, especially right now when you look at the state of the world you live in. I'm just telling you, between now and January 1st, you are going to see some wild stuff going on in this country. They say, learn basic survival. They say, once you get to a certain age, people are going to look at you like you should be knowing what's going to happen or what you need to do when something goes down. Know how to handle yourself in various survival situations. Learn how to build a fire. Learn how to build some shelter. Keep emergency kits in your house and car. Know how to perform CPR or fashion a splint. You're the one they're looking to. Again, the older you are, and but 40, your kids are probably looking at you for those types of things. All right, I would fail this all the way around. Can I start a fire? The answer there is yes. I have the flint sticks and all that. I can do that, right? Building shelter. I mean, if you gave me all the stuff, and could I build us something? If we were stuck in the woods, could I end up making us something we could sit underneath so the rain doesn't hit us? Probably. Building shelter, I'm probably not going to be that guy. I keep emergency kits both in my house and my car. I have taken a CPR class years ago, part of a radio bit we were doing, but I would be lost today with that. I would remember maybe part of it, not all of it. I would be lost doing that. Fashioning a splint, I could take a guess. I mean, once you eat the 2 popsicle sticks, I could probably duct tape them to your finger. Like, I might be able to do that. Outside of that, I'm not sure I would be much help in those scenarios. That's actually pretty good advice. We should know how to do it. They say you reach a certain age, support a cause. You're entering that part of your life, they claim, that takes back as much as it gives. One way to keep the balance is to take up a cause. Giving a portion of your time and talents to improve the lives of others can make a world of difference, and it's the best legacy you can leave behind. Now, supporting causes can be tricky because more often than not, how you're going to have to do that is through an organization. Plenty of charitable organizations are great. I know we've seen plenty of them that aren't. So there's a little legwork that's going to need to be done there. But my guess is that this would be birthed out of passion, what you care about. Again, my father was a minister, and one of the things he cared about was hunger. That was one of his things. Housing people, feeding them. He was big in it. So the feeding them thing kind of trickled down to me. It's kind of a thing. And if you check, there's like charity, I think it's charitynavigator.org, I think is what the site is. You go there and like you could, that's a site where you can research some charities and they'll give them grades. So you can feel a little bit better about where you're donating your money. Now, I've always said I like to give my money on a human level. Like if I won the lottery, what have I said? That what I would do is just travel. In any town I was in, when I heard the hard luck story, the woman's house burnt down, here's $100,000 I'll see you next time I come through town, right? And I would like to give on the human level, change people's lives on that. That would be my favorite thing to do all day. Like if I won $300 million in, the Powerball or whatever, that's what I would do. I would travel this country, play all the golf courses I want, and then donate my money on a human level. That's exactly how I would want to spend my time. As a matter of fact, I think that's how I would be happiest in my life. Not just because I had the money in the bank, but because doing both of those things, both the golf and, that. They say if you're 40, start a business. You likely have a certain amount of experience in one field at least. Ask yourself, do you want to spend the rest of your life making someone else rich, or would you rather start your own business and make yourself rich? Even if you fail, the lessons you learn should help with your next venture. That last part's true. Don't let anybody fool you into thinking just because you go into business for yourself that you're going to end up rich. Again, most local business owners are not rich. Some of them, most are not. Most are scraping it by. I know nobody wants to cry for the restaurant owners today, right? Nobody wants to cry for that because you're paying $20 for a meatball sub. If you saw those margins, as a matter of fact, I watched a video about a restaurateur last night. So, everybody's yelling at me about $11 meatball subs. He's like, before I make a profit, I shell out $86,000 a month. And what it costs in my rent, my overhead, buying the product, paying the insurance, everything else. He's like, I'm $86,000 a month before I make money. And yet everybody's yelling at him, telling him he's the most awful person in the world. Starting a business these days, everybody tells you how it's easier than ever, right? There's an Instagram business you can start. If you're not a self-starting person, I'm not sure starting a business is great advice. I liked working for myself. I did. I absolutely did. But what I like better, if I'm honest, is knowing that in 2 days on the 15th, I know exactly how much money is being deposited into my account. There's security in that. And I like that security. My brother's the complete opposite person. Doesn't want that at all. Wants to take that floor out underneath him, so we just view life differently. He likes not having the safety net. I'm into having the netting a little too much. He's too free-spirited. I like the net too much. In between the two of us is probably where most people should be living. Looking at this list of things we should be doing when we start to hit that certain age in life. There's plenty more of this. So let's get to that, and we'll do that here next on Rock 106.9. Golfers, get your team signed up today for the Stansbury Cup. That July 24th, Braintree Golf and Event Center. Cannot wait to get back there and play some. We'll see you guys out there July 24th when you get your team signed up at WRPK.com. We're taking foursomes and twosomes. If you only have a twosome, we'll get you paired up that day. Good times. Looking forward. We've been running through this list of things they say you should be really working on by the time you hit 40. I'm well north of it. We already ran you through a few. If you missed them, it's learning some basic survival, support a cause, start a business. That's kind of the three we touched on so far. These we'll get through pretty quickly here. These two anyway. They're both about writing. Keep a journal. Memories fade, especially as we age. Writing things down gives you permission to forget them while knowing they're not lost. Journaling can also be incredibly helpful in making sure you're getting the most out of your days and helps make sense of your emotions during difficult times. I agree with that. People will tell you all the time before you go online and post something, take 20 seconds and breathe. And if you still want to post it, then maybe. And there's some truth in that. I received advice once upon a time, and you can read about this in, Meditations with Marcus Aurelius. And if you read any Ryan Holiday, he'll talk about this a lot too. That you should do positive and negative lists. If you don't know how to get started journaling in the way. Right? And so if you start writing down things you're thankful for, and make them the basics. I'm thankful I lived inside. I'm thankful I had enough to eat today. When you read, it sounds silly because we take all that stuff for granted, but that's the point of journaling, is that once you start really writing it out, you're focusing on, like, man, I got a lot of good stuff going on in my life. I got it pretty good. And then do it with the negative too. I'm feeling negative about this. I don't like the fact my boss yelled at me and hung up on me the other day over something that had nothing to do with me being in the wrong, right? Or whatever the hell the thing is. Sorry, I custom tailored that one to me. But like, if you do some of that and then you kind of work it out, right? I want to choke her because of this, right? And then you end up exercising those demons out. I actually think it's very good advice, and it has proven to be a little helpful in my life. They say make an archive of your life also. There's a ton of documentation. There's not a ton about it. But if you really wanted to search for it, and then ask your friends and ask your family members. Oh yeah, that, and make a little archive of your life. They're saying mostly this is about passing that on to your children at some point. And I would imagine that would be something that your kids would enjoy. My father was a public speaker by trade, much like myself. Now, he was a minister. It is a little bit different, but he had recorded every sermon he had ever done. My brother has all the recordings now, but I have copies of some of them. And occasionally I find myself just kind of going back there and listening to that a little bit. Subject matter is not always my favorite thing, but I get to hear them, and I get to hear where my ability to make a point kind of came from. I like both those things a lot for you. They say stress relief is another thing you got to get focused on. Stress is a literal killer, they say. It's important to cultivate reliable techniques for handling life's extremes. Whatever works for you, figure that out and be diligent about it. Meditation works for a lot of people, as does taking walks, reciting a mantra, listening to music, taking breaks, cups of tea, and the list will go on and on about stress relief. Meditating for me that's hard. It's pretentious to me on some level. And then I start thinking about, is my life really this hard? Like, I really need this level of stress relief? Like, really? This kind of feels like I'm putting myself in the victim, category of like, man, my life's so hard. I need to reduce the stress, right? Like, there's a little, I'm always walking that fine line. Now, one of the things I will do, and I guess this would be meditation. If you're more into the meditation, maybe you could let me know. Text me at 330-450-7625. One of the things I will do is when I get done with work, I'll go home, and before I turn the TV on or anything else in the bedroom, shut the bedroom door in 5 minutes, maybe 10, and just kind of let the day go by. I guess that's meditation, I guess. I don't do a good job of not thinking about anything. My mind doesn't work like that. It runs, baby. It's got running shoes on all day. And so I have a hard time at that kind of stuff, but I need to do a better job of it. That's why walking is more my thing. I walk the neighborhood a lot. I walk inside my house a ton. I'm very rarely sitting down. Listening to music is definitely a way I will reduce some stress. I like that. I like that opinion for you. They also say here, man, once you start to get to a certain age, talking to a financial advisor is not a want, it's a must. Your finances are going to play a big role in your life from now on, they say. Mortgage payments, college tuition, retirement, rainy day funds, all of that stuff. This depends on you making smart financial decisions, which is easier said than done. Stop trying to figure it out on your own and talk to a professional. I like that advice. A lot of times professionals are going to charge you money. I've given out this advice before, but I think it's important, so I'm going to say it again. A book that changed my financial life forever is called Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. Now, the internet hates Dave because, well, he's a Christ follower, he's a Christian, and they're the dirty religion today. And so he's a Christian, so like the internet hates him for that, right? And beyond that, he is an extremist with money. He wants you charging nothing, he wants you taking no loans. It's excessive. And when I started to notice that in his book, I was like, this is excessive. But then I realized I'm doing nothing of what he's saying now. So how about I don't need to do everything he's saying in the book? Let's maybe just start with a couple of these easy steps that are going to be easy for me, and then I'll start to expand it. And that's exactly what I did. I am not making the most amount of money in my career right now. I'm close, but I am not making the most money I've ever made in my career. I have more money now than I have ever had. And it's because I used that book. It changed my life. And one of the things I read in there, and I should have known this, and you should know it too, I felt like the biggest moron alive when I read this in that book. And that's why I read it all the way to the end after I read this, early on in that book. Having a budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering at the end of the month where it went. When I read that, I was like, Dan, you are so dumb. You're a smart guy who's lived like an insane moron your entire life. Get this turned around, and I mean right now. And I did. And I did. If you follow those systems, you can save yourself a lot of money. Talking to a financial advisor is not bad advice. I like that advice too. I think it's going to, I think most likely a professional is going to want to be paid for their profession. I didn't come in to do this show for free today. I'm being paid right now. You're on your way to go where you're going because they're going to give you money once you get there. Not once you get there, but you take the point, right? And so if you're struggling financially, I'm not sure that giving somebody like, hey, here's $3,000 to tell me where I struggled, that could be a difficult thing. But talking to people who have a little bit more of an idea of what they're doing than you do, not terrible advice. Again, there is more of this. Things we should be shoring up in our lives by the time we reach certain ages. We'll get to maybe the rest of this list if we have enough time, but what we definitely will get to are those Burt Kreischer tickets for his show on the 20th at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. I'll get you guys those next on Rock 106.9. Welcome back to the program. Golfers, I'd like to see you out for the Stansbury Cup. That at Raintree Golf and Event Center, July 24th. Your sign-up sheet online now for you at WRQK.com. Taking twosomes, foursomes. We'll find a way to get you out there playing. If you've never played Raintree, it's the perfect opportunity to do it. And I'm going to guess it'll be on your list of favorite places to play once you do. We'll see you guys out there July 24th. Looking forward to that. Had been talking about this list of stuff we kind of need to get on by the time we reach certain ages. They had it at 40. I'm well north of it. It turns out I've been bad on a lot of this stuff. If you missed anything we have already covered, that will be in the podcast later at WRQK.com. They say here you should start a skincare routine. Wrinkles are likely starting to make a home around your eyes and forehead. You can, however, slow them down. Washing your face more than once a day, morning, noon, and night, they say. Moisturizing, using products free from harsh chemicals. They start talking about eye cream here and the like. I've tried them all. I think I'm just, I have the Sharpie underneath my eye for as long as I live. I've had them since I was like 15. Everything I've tried, it ain't going. it ain't going. But yeah, skincare routine is probably not a bad idea, right? There's a reason why your wife looks good and you look like, well, not. And it's because she's doing all that stuff and you're not. They say if you're almost bald, shave your head. Many men will find their hair thinning, if not totally falling out in their 40s. Once you reach a certain point, it's just better to shave your head and be done with it. I'm trying to use hats, comb overs, top knots. Yeah, the top knots better. And give people the illusion of a full head of hair. Now, the old wives' tale is that it was, your mom's family, right? Your mom's dad. My mom's dad had his hair for, he had most of his hair until he died. It thinned, obviously, but he was never, close to being a bald man. So I kind of thought that's the way I would be. It's starting to thin a little bit towards, the front of my head there. And I always notice it after I go get my hair cut, and then I'm like, God, look where that hairline is. That ain't great. And I'm happy that I'm not almost bald or in that predicament, because I agree with this advice. It's like, dude, just quit holding on to the two strands of hair, pull out the bic, and let's shave it chick down there. I don't have the shape of a head for bald head. As a matter of fact, if I felt like I had the shape of a head for it, I would have shaved my head years ago. Because I actually, when I was a kid, I didn't understand why nobody wanted glasses. I was like, I kind of like them. I think they look cool, right? I kind of wanted glasses, and I think the bald head thing, if you pull it off, you look great. If you don't have that head for that and you're bald, it's like shaving a beard. It's like, oh, that's why you have the ZZ Top going, because you're ugly. Okay, fair enough. All right. So it's one of those things. Say, men, take some dancing lessons. They say, yes, people will tell you dance like nobody's watching, except most of the time people are watching. They say, take a few dance lessons, have a couple of reliable moves in your arsenal the next time you're invited to a wedding. I need to take this advice. I like slow dancing. I'm into it. I want to go with a date and I want to hold her and I want to dance. I want to do that. I like that thing. Once we start with the up-tempo stuff, I don't know what to do. If the dance floor is packed and you cannot see me from the waist down and I can just kind of fake mock my way through the sway, I'm into that. I like that. But dancing itself, I'm not great at that. I'm that letting loose, just kind of cutting the rug, that's just not my personality. This is, I've been at odds with every woman I've ever dated. I seem to like to date the women who are the life of the party, take the dance floor with them, and they're good at it. They look good while they're doing it. They look attractive while they're, and all that. And I'm just like, I suck at all of this. And I'm not good at that. A few dancing lessons might not be the worst idea in the world for me. They say ease up on your vices now that you're reaching certain ages. Stop smoking, stop gambling, eat less garbage, watch less TV, drink less alcohol, set social media limits. Vices are fun, but they're adding to your age and posing serious health risks now that you're 40 plus. Well, I did quit smoking over 11 years ago. Thank the dear Lord for that. That was great. I'll never stop gambling. You can go to hell on that one. I try to eat less garbage, although yesterday was not my best day at that. I'm watching less TV maybe than I ever have. I'm probably still watching too much television overall. I am drinking less alcohol than I ever have in my entire life, although I think the marijuana probably offsets that. I need to set more social media limits. The job can be difficult with that, although I use that as an excuse to be on them more than I should be. And I would agree that vices are fun, but they will add to some of your aging. There's no denying that smoking cigarettes ages you. And there's no denying. Now, an occasional beer, 2 beers after work or whatever, I doubt it. But if you are boozing, like if you're boozing heavy constantly, you look older. I remember once when I went a stretch and I wasn't doing anything. Like I wasn't trying to get sober or anything. I was just like, I just kind of need to take a break, right? And I wouldn't go to the bar, and a buddy of mine said to me, he goes, "You look great." He's like, "What the hell's been going on with you? You look great." I was like, "Yeah, man, because I haven't drank Jameson till 3 o'clock in the morning for the last 7 days straight. Like I'm kind of easing up on that." So I think smoking and drinking does age you. Absolutely. They say here, another one of these things is stop procrastinating. Stop doing it. The age-old adage is true. The trouble is you think you have time, but the reality is you don't. Stop looking at your tomorrows as the time when you're going to do something. Get busy doing whatever is driving you now. Make amends with somebody else that you have had problems with. Start eating healthier. These are all advice pieces that you should be taking when you start to get a little bit like 40s there line. They say spice your marriage. Don't let your marriage stagnate. It can happen naturally and slowly and drive you and your partner apart. Instead, make the effort to keep going on fun dates. I'm not married. It's hard for me to give you, any piece of advice on that, but I think that's probably a good one there. One of these things on this list, and I push back on this all the time, stop worrying about what other people think. No! Start caring more about what everybody thinks. You ever notice everybody out there just acts like an idiot? It's all about me now. I don't care. I'll yell at this. I'll throw this at the fast food person. It's because we stopped judgment. We need to bring judgment and bullying, and I mean all the way goddamn back. And you need to worry about what people think about you. Everybody's acting like an idiot out there because the I don't care anybody thinks became the new piece of virtue. Do not become beholden to what they think. Understand what it is that they think and understand how that's going to affect you in your day in and day out life. A lion doesn't care about the opinions of sheep. Really? You thought about it so much that you came up with that clever little saying, though, didn't you? Let's get you into Bert Kreischer, that on the 20th, Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. Take caller 25 right now at 330-450-7625. Toll free 800-243-7625 on those Bert Kreischer tickets, and we'll start the final hour of the program next on Rock 106.9. Shout out to Adam Barton out of Canton as he won his way in to see Bert Kreischer. Adam had to show me a little patience and grace there as my speaker for my phone in here not working so great this morning. It's like, what is it? Tell me again, Adam, what is it? I had to ask that poor guy's email address 900 times. So thanks for that patience there, Adam. Have fun at Bert Kreischer, buddy. We've been talking about things that you need to kind of get wrapped up by the time you're 40 or at least start working on it. And one of them was, dude, if you're balding, just shave the head. Now, if you have the right shaped head, I think shaped head actually is kind of awesome. It's also low maintenance, right? Get a set of clippers, kind of do it yourself there. Not like haircuts are that expensive for me, but it's pretty low maintenance. I don't have the right head for it, or I would have already tried it. If you're trying to pull off the top knot, and people kind of know what's going on there, and a few of you didn't know not was. So the best I can figure out here is that it's just another term for man bun, which doesn't. Now again, there are certain celebrities where it's like, oh yeah, dude, you come off looking like The Witcher, and this dude over here ends up looking lame. I don't know how you did that, but all right, looks all right on you, right? That can kind of happen. But most people, I don't think, are coming off looking great in that, or with that there. But that's what top knot, I guess, means. Again, some more things here that you should get done when you start to hit this age. They say, get your first colonoscopy. Get over the mental hurdle and book an appointment. It's not as unpleasant or as uncomfortable as you think it might be, and it could just save your life. As far as trips to the hospital go, it doesn't get much lighter than this. I should probably do this. I have not yet had my first colonoscopy. And I probably should while I still have health insurance. Fingers crossed. We'll see if we can make it this whole year. But that's something I should do. I'm telling you I should do it. One of the reasons, and I do this all the time with myself, is I'll say things like that, And that what's out there in the world now, and they're going to hold my feet to the fire. They like doing that because I need to be better about doing stuff like that. My mom had a little fear of the doctor, and she kind of passed it on to my brother and I a little. It's not like we think they're Satanists, right? Like, it's not that, but it's just like, I don't want to do it. I need to probably get that done. Like I said, I'm well north of 40 now. And so like that probably needs to be something I need to jump on. Now this, I won't be able to do, at least traditionally. Start a family. They say biology doesn't necessarily cut men off in the same way it can with women. Oh, really? So there's a difference between men and women and when they're able to do things in their lives? So men and women are different. Huh. Whatever you do, don't tell the rest of the internet that. Like, or at least wait until the first to maybe do it. Or at least maybe wait for that. But they say biology does not necessarily cut men off the same way. But they say chasing small kids around takes a lot of energy. So if it's something you want, don't wait much longer. Do you really want to be dealing with an unruly adolescent in your 60s, they say? I think it's more about the kid maybe even than you. You know, kids are mean. And anything that makes you different, kids are going to harp on. I know my father was the minister. You wouldn't believe the verbal abuse David and I took because of that, right? And so if you're like 70 and you're picking up your 4-year-old, like that's going to be a thing. And it's just another way for your kid to be separated and made out to be different. And that's going to be difficult there. Is that big of a deal that it's like, dude, if you want to have a kid a little later in life, don't do it because they're going to get teased on the playground? No, I wouldn't not do that because they're going to get teased on the playground no matter what they got going on. I wouldn't necessarily be going out of my way to try to create that. This is one of those things where at certain times of your life, you think you want something or you don't think you want other things. And then before long, sure enough, time goes by and you're like, oh, you know what? That would have been kind of cool. I've been re-binging Game of Thrones recently because of the excitement over House of the Dragon coming back on Sunday. And Dynasty, and your name continuing on, and all of that is so big in that show. Now, it's fiction, right? But it's so big, and that used to be the way it was. You know, that's why arranged marriages were a big thing. You were merging houses, and you were doing, you know what I mean, trying to, perpetuate the bloodline and all of that. We don't really have that anymore. The legacy thing really isn't a part of our life. Nobody really gets remembered. I mean, by your family you will, but outside of that, I would imagine you want to see your kids grow up and you want to be not as young as humanly possible. Don't have them when you're like 11, but you would like to at least be youthful-ish while your kids are young. I would agree with that. That starting a family is probably decent advice there. Now, again, they say, by and large, married with kids, you are happier than without. What we're figuring out now more than ever is that doing whatever you want, whenever you want, and being selfish and buying whatever you want, it does not necessarily lead to long-term happiness. And I can tell you from experience. I do whatever I want, whenever the hell it is I please. I come and go as I please. I say as I please. I live alone. I don't have children. Let me just tell you, I bought everything I want. Buying everything you want is cool until you bought it. Then you're just like Wile E. Coyote holding the Roadrunner by the throat. Now what? It's kind of one of those things. People were right about this. They were. Starting a family is good advice. Here's another one that I need to take. Make a will. Well, you don't have kids. What the hell you need to make a will for? Well, I do have a niece. And there are people I would like to see, not that I can leave you a life that you can put your feet up with, but I would like to see what I worked hard for be passed on to people I give a damn about. And help those people. I have done a terrible job of life planning in that regard. I have 401ks, I've got savings accounts, I got investment accounts, I got investment properties, I own a home, I got a lot of that. Necessarily have it all willed out. Now I'm just gonna have to go to a lawyer and be like, it all goes to Grace Stansberry, my brother's daughter, right? Because like he's older than I am, so David most likely will go before I will, and so it most likely will go to her. I think that's pretty good advice there. Making a will, I do think, is a positive. Some more of these here. This one I have gotten much better at over the last handful of years. Give up your grudges. Life's too short to carry around unnecessary anger. It's time to let go of any residual disdain you have for people in your past, especially if they're not part of your present. I like the way that's worded there. For the longest time, I kept a fire burning inside me about haters in the industry and a programmer that didn't think I was going to be good or this and that, and I was oh shut up, and it was the thing that kept me going, and I ran hot like that. And let me tell you, dude, it wore me the hell out. And when I finally a little soul searching and got working on myself a little, and I found motivation to do this that was about me, not somebody else, I feel like I've done some of the best shows I've ever done through that. Might not be every day, might not even be right now, right? But I feel as if that's a shift that has happened since I've been here at Rock 106.9. This fire used to run just purely off of hatred of other people. That was a waste of my time. I held way too many grudges. I think grudges can be important. Some people should be pushed out of your circle. I don't know if you necessarily need to have that grudge, but the older you get, kind of let it go, maybe find some other ways to, exercise that demon out. The last thing on this list here, well, second to last, is switch up your career path. It's good advice if you end up finding the next job. People have given, as a matter of fact, my last therapist gave me this advice. She was like, you need to switch your jobs now. We disagreed on that. That's why I no longer see her. And I don't necessarily like that advice for me. I like what I do. But if you feel stuck in what you're doing, that might not be terrible advice. And the last thing on the list, so dude, you kind of made it to an age where you can look back and you should have some accomplishments. You should still have some goals out on the horizon in front of you yet. Celebrate a little. Take a look around and celebrate. And I'll go back to the journal thing here with this, because they talked about that, and that'll be in one of the prior segments if you missed it. That will be in the podcast later at WRQK.com. But in journaling, what they tell you to do is write down lists, positive and negative. And I find that's a way I will celebrate, is when I kind of take that piece of paper out and journal, kind of write, like, I am very happy that I had food today. I'm very happy I have electricity. I'm very happy. And I make that list. All of a sudden, I start looking at all these, because I get very guilty sometimes of going, my life sucks, or like whatever the hell the thing is, the very human thing. And then when I really just sit down and think about it and start making that list, I got a lot of things to be happy about, man. I got a lot of things to be thankful for. Some of that is for the place. That's why when I tour, when it first got announced, I was like, well, where's the, and I said in my head, I wonder where the Cleveland like, and I wouldn't like, and I wouldn't put. Next thing you know, I got my barber on my text. What the hell's the matter with you? And was like a big, and I brought up Game of Thrones. It's fictional, obviously, but that was kind of the way it was. It was like, you would merge houses together by marriages, and you were kind of, truly a part of my life like that. But I took this, I'm a 9th gen born American. My daughter's the 10th, and I got to tell you, one of my biggest regrets is my name likely ends with her, as I did not have a son to carry it on. Well, let's wait and see what happens with last names and marriages and hyphens and who goes first, and oh my God, toxic masculinity is taking his name. Oh my God. All right, so we'll see what happens with those types of conversations. But yes, most likely what you are saying you are in fear of does happen, right? That kind of ends with that. I sometimes think of it as I'm the last of my name, instead of Denarius Stormboard, first of my name, I'm the last of my name. My brother obviously is there, but my brother had a daughter, and then ended up having to adopt a daughter after their biological daughter had passed away, and so they ended up adopting, moving forward over some medical issues with my sister-in-law, which does not really like what I talk about, so let's maybe move past that. And so they have a daughter, is what I'm saying. And so Grace is going to get married, I would imagine. She's actually dating a semi-pro soccer player from Chile right now. And my brother's like, dude, get ready. He's like, we might be going to Chile for a wedding. All right, like Chile it is. Let's go. Let's get the passport. Maybe let's go. And so, but my name's going to die with me. I had a vasectomy. You could talk about reversals. People can talk about that. I've looked into it, not because I'm like, oh my God, baby. Like, But there are times where I'm like, I got a little quick on that decision, maybe. A little quick on that decision. Now the only, you know what, I don't want to get into that. But there's a reason why I'm thinking about that now versus when I wasn't before. And that should be easy to figure out, but I don't want to necessarily get into it because she gets all but yeah, my last name will probably die with me too. And when you think about the fact that I've wiped my ass with it for 2 years and have completely watered down my father's legacy, it probably should be done with me. It probably should be done with me, as I have worked my magic with it. Less people worry about that these days than ever before. I don't think my father would have been, like, him telling me that's not your name was just another way of telling us to act right. You know what I mean? Like, you're a representative of me. But, like, he wasn't the kind of guy the North or whatever the hell happens. Like, it wasn't just a way of telling us we were morons, and he was going to have to take the verbal abuse of everybody else over the fact that his kids were morons. And so that's what he was looking to avoid. You don't hear about that as much as other people. If that matters to you, then having sons is going to help you fix that, and having kids earlier in your life and having more. By and large, if you're married with children, you end up that much happier than people who aren't. And of course, that is easy to believe. You have skin in the game. You have things that you actually care about. Versus like, dude, you see Stansbury's vinyl collection's pretty sick, dude. He's got an original pressing of Led Zeppelin 2. They're a little viral on TikTok, and it's coming back. For me, Pookie will always be New Jack City. It'll always be that, right? And I'll always go, because that's just my age range. It's tough when you talk slang, man, because, all right, like a word I use all the time that I wish I didn't is bro. And I don't like the word. I started making fun of people who said it too often, and then it just became something I said. Like, I had been dating a woman, and I had referred to her as boo a lot. That started out as me making fun of people with that, and then it just kind of, I fell into it was actually something my ex-girlfriend used to say to me, and I kind of carried it into the new relationship because I used to make fun of her for it all the time. And then it just became something I said. It just became part of my language. And I think that can happen with a lot of people, right? Because you got like 55-year-old people out here saying mid and all this kind of stuff. It's like, oh.